E in loro hi havia de gent. A zertet, me suvenu mi, a darir ciaboti l'amun vers la gavo, hi havia da 23 a 24 giue, e parei de fies. A vero, è stu desert. Bobo, mi si unissu a zertet. Si unissu a Rambo alla Ciapello. Ma fa mio, ero pro numeroso. 3 maschi, si e sore, più spaire e maire. Mi è cominciato a andare in pastiero.
In those days, there were many people. In Deserteto, I remember, in the last hut up there near the mine, there were 23 or 24 young men, and as many girls. Now it's all deserted. Yes. I was born in Deserteto, near the chapel. My family was quite large. We were 3 boys, 6 girls, plus mother and father. I began to take the goats out to pasture when I was 7. I'd be out alone in the woods up there with 30 goats from morning to night. My mother made me a pouch for my lunch, which I carried over my shoulder. Inside was a piece of bread and a piece of tuma cheese. When I jumped from one rock to the next, the pouch would bounce against the back of my legs, and I'd say, "Bread's bad for me." Barefoot. I was always barefoot. I'd walk over the broken rocks and thorns and never feel a thing. The soles of my feet were covered in scabs. I got my first shoes aged 10. I couldn't wear them. They made my feet, unaccustomed to shoes, uncomfortable. On Sundays, Don Maro of Bovis would say Mass, and as soon as I left Mass, I'd take them off and carry them round my shoulders. The first inhabitant of Deserteto to go to France was before my time, in 1850. He returned after the winter, having made some money, and so, one after another, more people started to go to France. I was not yet 16 when I set off for France, on foot across the Ciriega Pass, and together with 3 others, I walked to San Lorenzo del Var, beyond Nice. And from there we went to San Rafael, to try our fortunes. We'd go to France without papers, so the French police would leave us alone. After the holidays, with the arrival of winter, there were no men left in Valdieri. A father with a 16-year-old son would take him along with him to work near Cannes, in the woods, as charcoal burners. I stayed in France for 4 years, but every summer I'd return to see my family. I gave most of my money to my father. I did a bit of everything in France.
In tal 1908 si partì per l'America del Nord, per l'Oklahoma. E abbiamo un cugnà che era giusto arrivato dall'Argentina. Si miau pas de fa fortuna. Demandavo manco de trabalhar e de ganhar qualche soldo. Mi si imbarcà a Le Havre, sul bastimento Chicago. Ero picciotte viei e ben burato emigranti, turchi, arabi.
In 1908, I left for Oklahoma, in North America, with my brother-in-law, who had just returned from Argentina. I didn't dream of getting rich. All I wanted was to work and make some money. I embarked in Le Havre, on the steamboat Chicago, which was old, small, and packed with emigrants. Turks, Arabs, and every other race. I think it cost me 370 lira. We ate like soldiers, slept in bunks, on the racks with 3 levels. We were meant to get to New York in 8 days, but we had 4 days of terrible storms. When the waves rocked us from side to side, it wasn't so bad, but when they came head-on, the ship would be carried up, and the seat of the chair you were sitting on would come off, and the whole ship would creak and groan. And so we were 2 days late. On arrival, those of us in 3rd class disembarked on the island of Castelgarda, where we had a medical inspection, and they looked at our eyes. Then I took a train to McAllister in Oklahoma, which in those days was called Indian Territory. In McAllister, mining town, all the houses were made of wood. As many homes as in Deserteto, belonging to cousins, relatives. We'd found Deserteto in America. We carried on speaking patois, as if we were in Deserteto. I found work in the mines straight away. This was the only work to be found. The countryside was deserted, with just a few Indians and blacks. In 1916 there was a war and prices went up because it was the Union, a serious matter. The Union protected us. Without Union papers, you couldn't get into the mine. If anyone got killed, the Union didn't do anything. They were only interested in money. They didn't care at all about accidents. I worked in that mine for 6 years. In 1910, I decided to travel across the United States. In those 6 months, I always said I was French and never let on that I was Italian. Because over there, the French were very respected. They would kiss the French on the hand. In many states, Italians weren't welcome because Italians buy and sell work. They bargain for it and then give it to others, too much like the mafia. They didn't consider Italians to be white, saying instead that they were like the blacks. The blacks are better people than us Italians. The Americans despised them. There weren't many Americans working in the mines. I returned to Desertetto in 1921 on a trip to see my father. But on the 4th of July, a law was ratified restricting immigration from Europe, and so I never went back. Most of my savings from America, $7,000, was lost when the Banco di Sconto went broke.
Ma, vuole saber ciò che penso della vita di qui? La vita è cambiata. Ma è una vergogna, una vagabondaggine. Se parlo di progresso, ero più salute in tal mangiare quello mi si leva a me che ero che si mangiano de bistecche, tutto artificiale.
You want to know what I think of life today? Life has changed. It's a disgrace and vagabondage. People speak of progress. Food was healthier when I was young than it is now. With these beefsteaks, everything's artificial. Today, there are no longer laws, just thieves. But it won't last. There's a world war. The century will reach an end, but not a good one. The century ends up in destruction. There's a world war. Look at the ants. They have to kill each other when there's no room left in the nest. The youth of today? At school they're not even taught what our life was like. What can they be expected to know? People who travel the world learn more than what the schools have to give. Because what's written on paper stays there. But if you see something, you learn it, understand it. By travelling, I learnt to respect everyone in the world, including the Backs, who are better, more honest people than Italians.
La Luna? I creo pas che van sulla Luna. Perché Luna, Soleil, sono due monti inviolabili, senso a chi due a chi lo monte è alla fine. No, I creo pas.
The moon. I don't believe they'll get to the moon. The moon and the sun are two inviolable worlds, and without them, the world is finished. No, I don't think so.
Ici a vous dire, i due travai erano gavar le lause o farlo gardiocciasso. Lo cap di gardiocciasso era la massima autorità del paese. Vivio di un palazzino, avio lo cavallo, uno carrosso, la domo e l'attendente.
Here in Valdieri, the only two jobs available were beater or gamekeeper. The chief gamekeeper was the village's highest authority. He lived in a villa, he had a horse, a cart, a carriage, and an attendant. Gamekeepers had a fixed income for the whole year: shoes and clothes, a free cape, and a wooden cart. My father was a beater, working for the hunts, and then in the evening attending to the dead chamois. The beaters were 300 in number. I was a beater for 3 years. The 300 of us would go all the way round the mountain, flushing out the chamois for the king and his hunting friends. In 1900, I was a beater for King Umberto I. Us youngsters got 5 lire a day, and the established beaters got 10. Was it advantageous for us to have the royal family on holiday in Sant'Anna di Valdieri? It did provide some opportunities. There were 30 established gamekeepers, 30 families who lived well. In August, Queen Elena would always organize a donation. There were always 300 or 400 people who came from as far away as Entraque. They would go over the bridge in line, and each would be given 10 coins. The royals from the palace were watching. They would also give a few sweets and biscuits. Before leaving to become a soldier, so as not to waste time, I went to see the king's 2 cows in St. Anne at the royal houses. There I always saw the king and queen. The king was always agitated. Once, it was early in the morning, I was there with my white clothes, standing to attention, and the king spoke to me, saying, "Have you been a soldier?" "No, your majesty. I'm leaving to become a soldier now." "You'll make a good soldier." Elena, on the other hand, was graceful, and always wanted me to make tumin cheese.
Le vaches di Real le faziam arribar de fora. Havia pou che le vache dal posto fuggessero malate. Arribava lo camion in belle vache di Real e la gente diceva "Arribano le vache la reino."
The royal cows were brought in from elsewhere, as they were afraid the local cows might have diseases. As the truck with the royal cows arrived, people would say, "The Queen's cows are here."
Se andavano alla via, tanto, era un costume. Se volevi avere le figlie, c'avevi andare alle via, e se no, scappavo. Capitava tutto di nestabile. Quello lume se tupio, se campavo la mano e ti andavo. La causa cambiò pa. Lo passerotto è sempre quello. Bobo, è sempre quello. Magari, quando io avevo la madre, fazia Anghilante, ma curo io pa.
Did we go to dances? Often. It was a tradition. If you wanted to see girls, you had to go to the dances. Otherwise, they got away. Everything happened in the sheds. When the lantern went out, you put your hand wherever it would go. That's something that never changes. Like a leopard never changes its spots. Maybe when our mothers were there, we behaved like angels. But when they weren't, we'd do anything. Leopards don't change their spots. But there was misery in those days. We lived on rye bread. It wasn't fully baked and became musty. To make us eat it, they used to say, "This bread will help you find the nests in the wood." When we cut it with a knife, the bread would hiss, smoke, and give off dust. We never sold milk. It was used to make tuma cheese. To sell. I never ate a single piece of tuma cheese, and never even touched an egg. My father was very miserly. He saved everything and never spent a penny of what he earned. That's how he managed to buy land, because of his savings.